officially on my way to Iceland. Yeah, I'm heading to Iceland, and this is my first time internationally traveling. Well, kind of. I've been on a cruise before outside the country, which that doesn't count. I've been to the Bahamas before, which again, I just feel like doesn't count. They just are like touristy, very touristy designed, I suppose. I feel like I was definitely very nervous yesterday. I'm still a little bit nervous, just like first time jitters traveling abroad. I think I'm getting less nervous now that it's all in motion, but I've got a long day of travel. Had my typical 2-hour drive to the airport. Now I'm gonna be waiting outside for an hour because my flight got delayed an hour, which is fine with me because I had a 5-hour layover in JFK. So now it's only gonna be 4 hours, which still sucks, but at least it's less time inside an airport. And then we've got a 5-hour flight overnight to Iceland, Reykjavik. I'll learn how to say that once I get there. Then we'll be in Iceland and gonna start the day off with some hot springs. So I'm excited. Should be a awesome trip, and I truly don't know what to expect. So it's gonna be great. It's 2 in the morning, and we're walking back to a different gate for like the 5th time. They've changed our gate. I think they're just trying to keep us awake at this point. Welcome to New York. Obviously not in Iceland right now. Yesterday's flight to Iceland was delayed until 2 a.m. and then 2 a.m. rolled around and they were like, oh, actually, pilots ran out of hours, so flight's canceled now. And then it was too late to book a hotel at that point, and so we slept in the airport. For first overnighter in an airport, probably slept a total of 3 hours on the terminal floor. Now our flight's at 7 p.m. tonight, and we got the whole day in New York, and kind of just doing whatever. Made it to Central Park, and I'm just walking around and exploring. Parents are chilling right now. We got some bagels this morning because I was adamant about getting some New York bagels. All right, let's try some New York bagels. I thought there would be cream cheese on it, but there's not, which is upsetting. But trying to make the most of this mediocre situation. Luckily, the weather is absolutely beautiful today.
Easily don't have much money, but if I buy a big house, we both
We didn't believe this day would happen, but we're about to board the flight to Iceland. Okay, quick little recap before I switched entirely to my GoPro for these interview segments. Obviously, we finally made it to Iceland. Again, after a quick scare that we weren't going to make it and our flight was delayed. Yesterday, we did the Sky Pond sauna experience, which was actually pretty awesome. I didn't bring my camera in there, but I think I have a few phone clips. Definitely recommend that. It was super nice. And then we did some whale watching.
What we're doing? Yeah. We're now getting ready to go see if we can find any whales out here. So hopefully we'll find some. Now they can't guarantee it, but we're hoping.
Yep. Which didn't seem so hopeful for a while, but it was a nice little boat ride. Got some few shots of some dolphins specifically, and then the whale kind of just chilled underwater. Now we are headed out to go do, hey, you say it, you're here. What is it called?
Laugavegur Trail.
Laugavegur Trail. So it's going to be a 4-day trip, 3 overnights, and I've got this one and only battery in my camera. So trying to preserve it as much as possible so I can get shots the whole time. Should be fun and exhausting, and hopefully we'll meet some good people. See ya. Iceland day 1. Well, day 1 of the trail. It was like a solid 5-hour bus ride out here. Just ate some lunch, and I think we got probably a 6-mile hike for today, so nothing crazy. I think it would be nice. Kind of start seeing what it's like to hike around here and hopefully get to know the people a little bit more. Yeah, I just went on my own for a moment though. This is pretty sick. Big surprise. Ashley didn't finish her vlog again. So let's do a recap. We flew to Iceland pretty much specifically to do the Laugavegur trail, which I actually never really confirmed how to say that properly. It's a 4-day, 3-night hiking trip in Iceland, kind of ish near Reykjavik, the capital. My mom planned it, so pretty much I had no idea what I was getting into. Typical me. And was insanely underprepared for this hike. Let me go day by day here. So, day 1 was pretty much us getting to the first cabin. So we took a, like I said, 5-hour bus ride out there, got some lunch, set up our beds, and just had a moment to explore around the area. And then we ended up doing a 5-mile hike, and it was just a loop. So we ended up doing Blue Mountain, which was pretty much right near the cabin, and summited to the top of it relatively quick. First summit of the trip. And then did a large loop around the area, got to see some volcanic lands, and had our first river crossing, which was actually the first of many river crossings. Day 1 and the second river crossing. Day 1 was good. The rain held out, so for the most part we had dry weather while hiking, got some good views, we were all full of energy, and it was a great first day. Day 2, left the cabin and pretty early that morning. First part was pretty awesome, just hiking through all of this volcanic activity and literally seeing the ground boil in some spots, and just being that close to something so powerful is really, really cool. The first probably third of the hike that day was just walking through that area. Just the contrast between the snow and then the dirt where the snow had melted, and I guess crossing of the mountains was really, really beautiful. What? The second third of the hike that day was completely in snow. Let me tell you, my shoes were not waterproof. My feet were freezing for a good chunk of that time, unfortunately. But yeah, we trudged through snow for hours on end, and it was at least beautiful, but it was kind of terrible in a sense also. By the end of that section, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we here? I mean, you're crossing over these ice bridges, and the guide's like, hey, don't step in these areas because the snow and ice underneath you could collapse. So what you're getting into is pretty intense stuff. So that made it a very cool experience, but still a little bit mind-numbing in some parts. Then the last third of that hike was when we started seeing the greenery of Iceland and the mossy mountains. So we got a little sneak peek of that right at the end of that day, and that was much needed actually, because after seeing just volcanoes and snow for 14 miles straight, it was very nice to see some mossy hills and show up at our cabin, which was just a beautiful spot over the lake. I wish the weather was warmer. It was not. It was pretty frigid to just sit outside and enjoy it, but at least that kind of gave us a little bit of hope for the next day, or so we thought. Day 3.
Look like this giant poof ball.
Yeah, it's okay.
Look how pretty it is.
It's gonna be a great day. Day 3 was terrible. It was raining and windy the entire hike. Pretty much we immediately started our hike and got soaking wet, and it was freezing. I mean, I had every layer that I could have on. I mean, I had my puffy, my melly, long sleeve shirt, t-shirt, rain jacket, and then another rain cover. and I was still cold. Granted, I didn't have any warm pants. I literally had leggings and that's it. I really, really wish this day was not so rainy because I think it could have been a pretty sweet day, because a lot of it was getting to see a little bit more of those green mossy hills, which are just stunning to look at. But then a lot of the hike ended up also being just black volcanic empty sands, and luckily in that part is where I started talking to the guides a little bit more and hearing about their stories and how they got to Iceland and all of that, so that was sweet. But yeah, I mean, day 3 was a mental game over anything else to get through. Right before the cabin was a little bit of an offshoot into a canyon, which ended up being the best views of the entire trip, actually. I mean, it is a absolutely massive canyon, dark walls covered in green moss. You have this beautiful river running down below, and as you walk along it, you're seeing multiple little waterfalls. I mean, and you can stand on the edge of the cliffs and just, as I like to do, completely freak my mom out. That view was my favorite view of the whole trip.
Closer? What is the camera?
Yeah, it'd be a great thing. It's gonna be great. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah.
Day 4, final day. We ended up having really great weather, and we had some pretty views that day as well, as we were like hiking through smaller canyons and then kind of going a little bit more around the big canyon that we got to see, getting to see the glacier out in front of us and learning some more facts about that was really eye-opening. Honestly sad to know how much that glacier is melting just in the past few years. Actually, that was a highlight of the trip, was our guide knowing so much about this trail and the history of Iceland, because I mean, he has done this trail 300 times is what he told us, which is mind-boggling. So he has just loads of stories and tales and history just from his own experience, but also just like even further back history. And so having him as a guide was actually the highlight of this trip. That and the fact that we had 4 other guides that were with us and training to be guides for the rest of that summer. So getting to talk, like having so many people with all of these different backgrounds was what made the trip worth it, I would say. The hike itself was honestly not even my favorite, whether that was due to the weather or what exactly it was, but I would say the people are absolutely what I will be remembering, and I don't want to be like cheesy in that regards, but truthfully, it was really cool getting to talk to and meet all of these different people and learn about their story and their life. And like, I mean, like how the heck do you getting to Iceland to be a guide in Iceland? Like something's got to happen. So it was cool learning those stories. Would I do a 4-day backpacking trip again? Don't really think so. Not so much my thing. I don't mind it for a 2-day experience, but 4 was kind of a lot. And with the weather that we had, it didn't make it the most pleasant experience to hike through all of that and like not really be able to appreciate the scenery as much as I wanted to. But would I do like a group trip like that again? Absolutely. And do I want to go back to Iceland again? Absolutely. I think there is so much more to see there and so much beauty and history, and I think you kind of get that from traveling anywhere is what I've learned. Overall, would I do it again? No. Was it still a great experience? Yes. Would I recommend this trail? Maybe not this trail per se. I would probably do a different trail, or I would do our last day's hike to that canyon and do like a 1 overnighter there and hike back. I don't think doing the whole trail is entirely necessary. I mean, these are just my personal preferences. So, whatever. But yeah, overall, great trip, and I would love to go back to Iceland at some point. This is me wrapping up my vlog 2 weeks later. So, welcome, guys. I've got a lot more trips and just life update things happening coming up. So, stay tuned, guys. See ya.